welcome back to the channel here on Camo Crappie, and we've got a great video for you today. A lot of casting and a little bit of jigging as we were practicing for the upcoming Crappie Masters tournament on Green River Lake, and we saw thousands, tens of thousands of fish, but just a ton of little fish. And it was, I guess, kind of a transition for the lake. Here it is December and almost 50 degree water temps, but there'd been quite a bit of rain and the mud had pushed into an area of the lake that we fish a lot and where we'd seen some bigger fish, and those fish just weren't there. So it was extremely windy. This was actually the weekend that this is Friday. The tornadoes would come through central Kentucky and western Kentucky the night that right after this was being filmed, and it was extremely I knew there was going to be a lot of wind, so I'd found a bank. We had already practiced up the lake and had caught some good fish, but nothing consistently. And you can see here pushing in on what's probably either a bass or a catfish. You're going to see that I'm able to present it right to the fish, and just this is the reaction I get. I mean, you can't ease up to it no easier than that. And I mean, just nothing. So of course I'm gonna back it up and re-present the bait to it, and you'll watch as it I believe it just kind of pushes out. Yeah, it may be feeling the pressure of the boat. You can see how it's just kind of moving right along. But I had found this cliff, and it was just stacked full of fish on this cliff, and I was just trying to kind of weed through them and do some. See, it's got it in its mouth right there. Can I get him to shake it off? No, I couldn't get him to shake it off, but he had it in his mouth right there. And I was checking this bank because you can see the water's really calm right there, and on the other ends of the lake you've got it just rolling. But that's what I was trying to do, was just find I tried getting down in the pile, just looking for the better fish, and we ended up getting third in the tournament, and the weight's probably the lowest weight we've weighed fishing together. It was like 4 pounds or something, but our 4 pounds was good enough for third, so we were happy to get the points for that. And you can see here I kind of speed. You can see I've sped up the timing on the video. You just see how these fish are moving and reacting, and that one come up and kind of popped it. But here I'm vertical jigging. You can see the braided line really well. So we started out the next day. We started out in pretty good wind, but it was like 64 degrees or something. It's still really warm, so it felt great. And we started out fishing. We started out, I mean, right by the dock, and we had, I think, four or five keepers pretty quick, but nothing grand. And we ended up going to another spot where we were able to set, and we picked off, you know, telling how many keepers we caught. Just never could get a big bite. Never really saw anything that was really big. And that's kind of been indicative of how Green has fished here as of late. I fished today, which is Friday. So I fished last week or earlier this week and fished on Green. Found some not like monster fish, but I found keepers in some standing timber, and I should have that video up for you next week. But it was interesting. It was a different look for Green. I fish standing timber on other lakes. I don't usually fish standing timber in Green just because, you know, normally I've got the fish located somewhere else, but ended up fishing some standing timber earlier in the week and was able to catch keeper fish. And then yesterday went out to Cumberland. I should have took my cameras for Cumberland. I actually had run out of SD cards. Everything was full, but went to Cumberland last Thursday, or this past Thursday, And while we was on Cumberland, we ended up with I think 31 good fish. Like we didn't keep anything that was even really like a line cutter. Everything we had was good 11, 12-inch fish. But we ended up with like 31, but they just shut off at right at around dinner. And I mean the fish were following really good, biting really good, and then they just shut off. And I talked to a buddy of mine, he had fished Dale and they caught some giants. And that's what he said. He said, yeah, right around dinner, his fish shut off too. So went out today and just kind of went beating the banks, throwing crankbaits for bass, and not really having a whole lot of success. Did catch, I think, one small one, but kind of just roaming around, actually on some water that I hadn't crappie fished in a long time. And sure enough, I saw some crappie out there, so picked up a crappie rod. Should have had cameras, and actually found a pile of better fish. And the guy I was fishing with actually stuck a bait really hard into the structure and kind of spooked him off. But we were still able. We went out. We didn't crappie fish very long, and I think we had 24 keepers. And we ended up giving them away, so was able to feed another fisherman. So that's always grand. But you see there, that's just a keeper size fish. I did, which it was done way up into the day. When I marked these fish, it was well, not way up into the day, but it was like 11:30, and you could tell we caught them for just a few minutes, but they kind of shut off on us too. So I don't know if there's something, with the moon phase right now or what the deal is, but it seems like right around 12 o'clock the last 2 or 3 days, these fish have been shutting down. So I don't really know what's up with that. I do know that rain in the forecast as far as for Green River Lake right now. Holmes Bend's pretty muddy. I mean, I'm sure it's probably still fishable. I didn't fish around Holmes Bend today. I fished on up the lake. So your mud is really right around Corbin's Bend to Holmes Bend. I don't know how far up to past Fisher's Bend it's muddy. I know last week I went out for just a few hours, and I did catch some crappie up around the White Oak and Bridge area, but there was some rain. I got a report that the creeks had current in them earlier in the week, so don't really know. It's definitely going to be a different, there's going to be a lot of transitioning and it's going to cool up, so we'll just have to see. And of course we'll make video. Hopefully, I know Cave Run, I saw that they were catching some pigs up there, so I'm probably not going to fish Cave Run, but hopefully Green, some better fish start showing up, and you can still go out there and catch keepers. So here's, like you can see here, there's probably 500 fish just stacked up here on this structure, and I fished the top of it, I fished the middle of it, and never able to catch anything really much better than just keeper sized fish. You can see I kind of let my bait go a lot further down into it that time and was able to pull this one out. But nothing real grand. I did try to look to see if some of the bigger ones might have been, because I think it was last year I was finding I was finding bigger fish that would just be off to themselves. So I looked and chased some fish, but I don't think they were necessarily even crappie, and never did catch any of them. But that's what you got for right now. This is where it is. The water temperature's still holding right there at 50 degrees. I expect it to change over the next few days. But get out there, get on some fish, and good luck.
So even though these are little fish,
A little better one.
that's how it goes. Biggest one I caught all day, and I didn't get it on camera.
GoPro, stop capture.